subject that we've chosen for today is called Purpose of Life. But before we actually go into the purpose of life, I'd like to start off a little before that, where we will actually talk about the creation of this universe. And the format that we're following today is going to be based primarily on, of course, the Holy Qur'an, the Sahih Ahadith, and also some scientific facts. Now, when we talk about the creation of the universe, there are a lot of questions that can possibly come into your mind. How did we come here? Who sent us here? Why we are here? So on and so forth. And to actually start to answer those questions, we'll start with observing some of the fundamentals of science, those established facts within science that are already there, and some of the well-known theories that are respected by the scientific community. Now, to begin with the talk on the creation of the universe, I'll start with the concept of an expanding universe. Right now, in modern science, it is believed among the astronomical community that the world, or the universe rather, is actually expanding at a constant rate. It is constantly expanding. And this was discovered back in 1920s in San Marino, California by a man named Edwin Hubble, who actually made the Hubble Space Telescope. And what he did was, he built a space telescope and he started observing the stars and the galaxies and the planets and everything. And what he observed was that he saw and noticed that the world was, the universe was constantly expanding. The example of that can be taken, for example, if you take into account a loaf of bread which is being baked in the oven. The way the loaf of bread rises, and if you have like raisins or nuts on top of that bread, the way it actually expands, that's the exact idea or concept behind the expansion of the universe. In a very similar manner, the universe is also expanding. Now, that's one subject that we've just touched upon, which is the expanding universe, or the expansion of the universe. The second point that I'd like to make over here is the Newton's laws of motion. We study them in physics. The first law being that a body will stay at rest or uniform motion unless an external force is applied to it. To make it very simple, this phone will remain over here unless and until I move it myself or any external force is applied to it. The second law being that force is equal to mass times acceleration. It's not important at this point in time. And the last one is that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Whatever you do, there's an equal and opposite reaction to it. Now, we have the expanding universe, we've got Newton's laws of motion, and the third thing that we're going to talk about today also is the law of the conservation of matter, which says that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. Now, to understand that, I can say that here's the telephone. If I want to destroy it, I can burn it. But what I'm really doing is, I'm not destroying this telephone, I'm just converting it from a solid state to a state of either liquid metal or gas. Right? So it's not that matter is destroyed, it's matter changing shape. So the law of conservation of matter says that matter cannot be created. I cannot create this phone out of thin air, nor can I destroy it. Right? Now we've got the scientific laws in place. Now let's go back to the concept of expanding universe. Now, within the scientific community, like I said, the law of the expansion of the universe is, there is an absolute consensus on it. Now what it says is basically that since we know that the universe is constantly expanding, scientists began to think that if it's expanding at a constant rate, what if we were to rewind this and go back in time, millions and billions of years ago, and take it all back and go to some finite point in time where all of this was just one piece of matter, right? And then that resulted in the Big Bang theory that we actually know of today. Now the Big Bang theory is that there was a matter, limited volume, infinite mass, which exploded, and then over millions and billions of years, these stars and planets and everything came into shape. And also our solar system was also a result of the Big Bang, many millions and billions of years later. Now the question is, which has baffled scientists to date, is that since we know that matter cannot be created nor destroyed, how did that mass get there in the first place? Think about it. We know that the universe is actually expanding. We take it back in time. We see that at one point in time there was one giant mass which exploded into space, and then we had all the planets and galaxies, and then life started to come, and so on and so forth. But the biggest thing that's baffling scientists right now is, how did that mass get there? Who put it there? Did somebody put it there? Now, the way we can look at it, you'll have to agree that whoever put it there was a person who was not bound by the laws of physics that we know of today. Correct? Because whoever put it there broke the first law, saying matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So this somebody, whoever put it there, created matter for the first time. Now, if we take it back 1 second and just try to assume this, can we also say that the person who created that mass in the first place also created the laws of physics that we know of today? That the person who created that mass is not bound by these laws of physics, he is well beyond those laws of physics that we experience right now. For example, gravity and this and that. All these laws that we are bound with, he is not bound by those laws. Now, I've just touched upon briefly with regards to the concept of the creation of the universe. I have here a DVD box set which is done by the History Channel. It's called The Universe, and this is just season 1. This basically is a fantastic documentary about the universe, and when you watch it, you'll see fantastic things happening in the galaxy. We'll just focus right now on Earth and what's happening here. But there's such fantastic stuff happening in outer space. It's really intriguing. Now, if we look around us, up towards the sky, we'll see that there are planets and stars and galaxies all in perfect harmony, all following a certain set of rules, all going about their own motions. Take the example of the sun. Now, the sun, we don't even realize is how important the sun is to us. The sun is actually known as the yellow dwarf. Yellow because of the color of its surface, and dwarf because it's very small. Now, let me tell you how small the sun is. If you take 1 million Earths, that is how much the number of Earths that will be required to cover the surface of the sun. Imagine a giant football, which is the sun, and imagine M&Ms or small beads that you put on it. When you have 1 million of those, that is how small this Earth is compared to the size of the sun. And this sun is known as the yellow dwarf, the midget, among other stars in the galaxy. So imagine, this is just one star that we know of, that's in our solar system. Imagine how many millions and billions of stars that are out there. Now, just to give you also an idea of the power of the sun, every second on the surface of the sun, there are 1 billion hydrogen bombs exploding every second. One hydrogen bomb exploded in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and look at the devastation that it actually caused. Man is still afraid of the nuclear weapons and nuclear technology. And imagine this, that 1 billion atomic bombs are going off per second on the surface of the sun alone. And here we are sitting comfortably on Earth, and we are actually getting the power of the sun. We have light from the sun, and so many other benefits. Now, that's just when we look up in the sky. If you look at the Earth, we see miracles happening every single day, every single second. From the time that a human baby is born, when an animal gives birth, to the time when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly and flies off, to the time that a small seed makes its way out of the earth and turns into a flower or a beautiful tree which bears fruit. We have so many miracles happening every second, yet we do not even realize. We take them for granted. That yes, it's happening. We take them for granted. In the Holy Quran, it says in Surah Rahman again and again and again, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ? And which of the blessings of your Lord will you deny? Why do we not look at these miracles happening in front of us every day? Why? Because there are so many of them. There are so many of them happening every single second, we don't realize.